reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is the Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
What's up, everybody? It's the Horror Deconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hit that thumbs up. Let people know you listen to the show with your host, Komp and
Thea.
And today's film is
VHS 99.
You gotta say the year.
2022.
It was very important because people, they might not, you know.
It's true. It's confusing.
Yeah. VHS 99, 2022. Witness a hellish vision of 1999 as social isolation, analog technology, and disturbing home videos fused into a nightmare of found footage savagery. Oh, please. Directed by Flying Lotus, Maggie Levin, Tyler McIntyre. Well, there's only 3 stories in this one? I guess it leads into... yeah, okay.
I guess so.
I felt like there was 4 stories. Might be thinking about the other ones. Written by Zoe
No,
Cooper.
there are 4.
Yeah, right? Written by Zoe Cooper, Flying Lotus, Chris Lee Hill, starring Jesse LaTourette. Wow, somebody has the name of Tourette. Kianush Tafreshi and Dashiell Derrickson. So, Thea, why? Usually we do three hosts in this time, but Danny has moved to another planet for this episode.
He's busy.
Although I think Danny and I have done one anthology movie without you, so that was Breaking Protocol. Yeah, I think so. But trust me, I think that movie was so awful. It's the best that you did.
Which one was it?
I don't remember. But I remember we did do one of them, and it had to be so awful. Like,
did you do ABCs of Death too? Because I feel like I didn't do that one.
No, I'm pretty sure you were on that one. I mean, it's probably best you forgot that you did it in the first place.
Yeah, I blurted out. Anyway, we're doing this because we're masochists.
So, Thea, why did we pick VHS 99?
Because we did all the other ones. That's
basically
true. We're completists at heart.
Yeah, I guess you're right. To our detriment, we did this one. So I was like, oh, because Thea brought it up. I was like, are we gonna do VHS 99? And I was like, oh, okay, I guess we have to. And then when I found it on Shudder, I was like, oh, okay, I could watch this because it's on Shudder.
Yeah.
You know, you can't understand how wonderful it is with streaming service. Even if it's a shitty movie, you can kind of just watch it.
If you have
and leave it on.
If you have access, why not?
Obviously, because even like The Walking Dead, like you got to sit down, you got to watch that bullshit on television.
Oh my
like
God.
I stopped watching The Walking. I'm sure you stopped watching.
Oh, a long time ago.
I stopped watching after the actor who played Rick left the series, right? Yeah. And then I was like, the last season. I was like, all right, let me put on this. Let me put it on Netflix. And I saw 2 episodes in. And the thing is, in Netflix, you can literally just play it, and it'll stay playing. You know what I mean? You can just keep playing the episodes. Yeah. And that show to me had gotten so bad and so boring that I literally chose the option of not watching it. Like I was just like, nah, I don't want to watch this anymore. So then I saw.
I stopped watching even before Rick died.
And then I saw he didn't even die; he just disappeared
or left.
And then I saw the final episode, and I was like, I missed nothing. There's literally plot points from what I had left, which was at least 2 years ago, and it was the same fucking shit. And I was like, I don't. Yeah. It was horrible. Go read the if you like The Walking Dead, do what I did. Stop watching it. Me and Thea. Just read the final issue of the comic book. That is incredible. Yeah. The fact that they didn't do that, they fucked that show up so bad. It's unbelievable. Enough for The Walking Dead. That was just my idea about why it was easy to watch VHS 99. This is why I go on tangents so much in this show.
And also, this has an end point. It's not like, oh, we're going on for 10 seasons, so we're just going to do everything and be boring.
Oh, I just remembered one of the stories for this movie. It was awful. While you were saying it,
well, let's get into it.
So this movie, they're keeping the tradition of shitty wraparounds. I thought it was a little cuter in this one, but then kind of very easily got boring halfway, which is Army Men, like somebody making a home video,
like making little Army Men movies,
which should be like children playing with this, but this is, I guess, a kid who's supposed to be playing like a 17-year-old or something, or 18. I'm not sure.
I think he's probably a little bit younger because it seems like his older brother is probably 17, and then he's probably like, I would guess, like 15 or something.
Yeah. Okay. So let's. What is the first story? That's just the wraparound bullshit. We'll get into when it actually turns into.
Which you don't. Which was, I did like that turned into its own.
Yeah, I agree.
Like short.
I think they did that also with one of the other ones where it was like a skating video and then it turned into something else, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think they just started beginning with. Go ahead.
Well, so the first one after the wraparound is called Shredding, written and directed by Maggie Levin.
Right.
which is about a band called RAC, which is an acronym for their names, which I was like, okay, come up with a better band name.
I think that was based on, before we get any further, there's a band called CKY back in the day. Bam Margera, if you remember him from before he went crazy on drugs, from allegedly, excuse me. No, there's no alleged to that. CKY was Camp Kill Yourself, which was like skater videos. Which,
subtle.
Yeah, it was like skater videos, but also a rock band. They actually have a good song. CKY has one really good song, but you can just look that up. And that's what this is, but it doesn't have any of the cool skating stunts. They sort of just do bad sort of effects. You do see a skating stunt later on in the movie, but like that skating stunt would have made sense in this. But it's sort of like this really obnoxious rock group. Can you talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, they're sort of your typical obnoxious punk rock band who are like pulling pranks on each other, and they're recording it all. They didn't feel like 90s kids to me, but I guess that's what we're going for.
I mean, like when you're doing, this is a problem with all found footage.
Yeah.
Like something like it's like something that's not even from this fucking reality, how people talk. And I just don't understand how, as a director, you're like watching it and yeah, that's good. And I was like, this is like it's like a Capri Sun like fucking juice commercial, the way these kids act. Like they're all acting extreme. And you're like, who the fuck talks like this? I've never spoken to anybody in my life. Like, maybe this is something that people do in SoCal or California. I know people in Canada don't talk like this. Is that
they
right?
sure don't.
Not
they sure
New York,
don't. Very low key.
But they're like, go ahead.
So it's this band, and then one of the members they sort of make fun of the most and sort of
the drummer.
beat up on all the time. And they decide that they're going to break into this old like abandoned place that one of their favorite bands used to play, and it burnt down, and the band got trampled to death.
Bitch Cat, right?
Bitch Cat.
Bitch Cat's stuff made more sense. Like, it felt more real than the other stuff, because it was just like, but their music did not match their characters, because they were like punk rock girls, but then they sang sort of generic like rock music, which made no fucking sense. It was like, I guess it might have been a
I was like, this is not punk.
Yeah, it was like shitty
all.
music. Not that it was shitty
pop is
music.
great,
it was just
but
like
it just wasn't.
Not to take away from the actual music that was used in the film. I don't want to insult them, because
it just didn't match what was being told
absolutely
to us.
Especially for the kind of characters they become. And but they were interesting. The rest of that first story,
I was like, we should have done a short with Bitch Cat.
Yeah,
it could have been the story of the fire and trampling, and then they come back to life or something. Like that would have been interesting.
Listen, Bitch Cat is the best thing in this whole fucking movie, because when they come back from the dead, it's very shitty. It's this is what when I watched this, I realized VHS has been using the same fucking story in each film.
Yeah.
Where, hey, let's go to this place where this group of people died, and then the group of people die and haunt you. They do the story twice in this movie alone.
They do the story twice. And it's also like the bullying narrative. I'm like, did we need to do that twice in the same movie?
Yeah,
Could we have had one of the directors do a slightly different story?
It's unbelievable how shitty that is.
I know.
The thing I appreciated in this, at least, the thing that woke me up from this boring fucking story was the makeup effects on Bitch Cat. When they came back as zombies, I was like, oh shit.
That was good, yeah.
It was unbelievable how good they looked. Like, because they came back as like skeleton women. Like, their bodies are normal, but their faces all burnt off and rotted. And I saw a picture of it on Twitter of like the actual effects. I don't know. I couldn't tell if like some of it was digital or not. I assume they wouldn't make it digital, because that would have just been a pain in the ass.
Right.
But it looks fucking good. Like, if there's any,
it does look good.
If you're willing to just watch 30 seconds of the movie, that's it. That's what I would fucking suggest anyway from that. But like the skeleton faces on these, they looked fucking great. And then they pulled a whole. I don't know if you ever saw Tarantino's movie with the vampires. Oh, no, it was Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, Dusk Till Dawn, where they're playing with like the corpses, or they're wearing. Like, I thought that was cool. But other than that, it was just like to me, it was like throwaway. I just didn't really give a rat's ass about this one. Besides the makeup of the girls, it felt like a who gives a shit episode.
Well, it's also just like a lot of unlikable characters, which is fine, but like we didn't actually get a narrative for the one character, like the drummer, who like theoretically we should be rooting for. He didn't actually get a real story. They tried to like at some point he threw in like, I'm afraid of like this piece of mythology, like if that's what it is, and it's
Yeah, I don't know if
it was felt sort of lazy.
I don't know if he was supposed to be Latino or Native American, but they try to make that something. Like,
I thought he was.
Was he
I thought he was
Latino?
I thought he was East Indian. Actually.
Oh, right.
I could be
He was
wrong.
Middle Eastern. Right. See,
Yeah.
that shows you I wasn't even fucking paying attention. But
Look,
yeah,
we were tuned out. We know what we're getting.
They pulled that other, you know what I mean, quote unquote, the other sort of, oh, this person is a
Yeah.
different, like, you can tell when like a white person writes like a cat. I don't know if Maggie
Yeah.
Levin, maybe white. But it's like, oh, this person is from another culture. They
Is
know
not
more
white.
than us, you know. But it almost
Yeah.
becomes cartoonish. It's almost like fucking Poltergeist 2 when they bring the Native American guy, and apparently he would know more than the white people. It's just like you're just writing these cartoon characters. Not that he was that offensively bad, but it was just like, oh,
No. It just, but he also like didn't get like to be. And look, it's so hard to do in a short to make somebody
of course,
a real person.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so it's for me it was a who gives a shit. What rating would you give Shredding? Of I forgot what you used to do individually. VHS 99.
5.
Very good. 5. What?
I'm gonna give it 5. Obviously throwing body pieces off screen because you didn't want to show the actual like evisceration because it probably didn't have the money
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
whack. Get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here with that. Show it. Stop being. If they got movies like Terrifier, which are made for like $10, and they show gore, you can fucking show gore. And that's the whole point we watch this shit for, not for fucking like. I didn't come here to watch like a
hallway
War and Peace and all this shit. I too would give it a 5 out of 10. Being in a generic rock band to make generic rock music to be influenced
That isn't actually
for
rock.
generic fucking fake Instagram whatever bullshit this is. Let's quickly move on to the next film, Suicide.
The next
Bid.
one is
Suicide Bid, written by
Bid.
written and directed by Johannes Roberts.
Mhm.
That's you. That's
This
your cue.
is about college freshman Lily, who's desperate to join a sorority. A tale as old as time.
Oh yes.
And they basically want her to go to a graveyard and be buried alive in a coffin until dawn, I guess. I can't remember what the stipulation is. But then they get interrupted halfway through by somebody coming into the graveyard, and they leave her there. And then she is... It starts to rain, and she's basically suffocating in a coffin.
The thing
and then
I'll give this...
spooky stuff starts to happen.
The thing I'll give about this, which is great,
Yeah.
it's original. It's nothing like the first story. It deals with bullying, and it also deals with a
very
supernatural
different.
person that comes who's been killed accidentally. Nothing like the first story. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, boy.
Wait.
It's literally like if you just watched a copy of the first storyline.
Yeah.
So, Lily is a character who... wants to be very badly. She's why they call it Suicide Bid is I didn't know about this, but if you want to be part of a what do they call for the women?
Like a sorority?
Sorority, as opposed to when guys go into a fraternity. If you just usually go for all of them at one time and see which one picks you. But if you go for one sorority, I guess apparently in this you go for one sorority or fraternity. If they don't pick you, then the other sororities and fraternities will be like, oh, you didn't consider us, so fuck you, now you're on your own, sort of thing.
Right.
And so she is, I guess she doesn't want to have a boring life. She doesn't want to be a nerd, and apparently her roommate is a nerd like her, and she just wants to go better than that. She, like, insults the girl. Poor girl who's, like, the fucking character who was her roommate. It's not like, I don't know. She didn't like she smelled or anything. She just was there. You know what I mean? She's like, oh,
no, she just wasn't in a sorority.
So that's where
I guess that's
bad. It's
bad.
supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt sort of like or creep show thing. Like, oh, our main character's an asshole. They're gonna fucking deserve their fate. And she meets up with these. Like, at least I'll say that the girls came right out of a '90s film.
My God, yeah.
And I was sort of into this, and I wish, and I'm telling you this, but they would never do it for this type of films.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they didn't go with the supernatural element in this movie. Had she just fucking stayed in that coffin and it just was like, because to me that was the scariest part of the film. Like,
right?
If she was just
just like claustrophobia of being in there, and then also the rain of like the water coming in and everything was terrifying.
Yeah, that's fucking great. Like that, they lost me as soon as like an actual like fucking like Conjuring level
bad
cheap
ghost thing.
Oh my God, was it so poorly? I was like, oh, get out of here with this. And it was just the most shittiest sort of an unbelievable thing where these girls would like leave somebody 8 hours. Knowing that there's a flood coming.
It would never
not happen. Four individual people are willing to kill someone
Literally.
So they wouldn't get in trouble. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like the thing is in real life, that has happened. So, but like
Sure.
just for this film, like I couldn't buy it. They come back 8 hours later. You tell me you couldn't come back half an hour later? Like you think the security's gonna be there for half an hour
for all night?
No, because like obviously they made the effort to try to get the girl out of there in the first, but they're just gonna leave somebody underwater. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's insane.
So it becomes a generic ghost bullshit, and then they start. I guess the ghost takes time to pick every girl out of their dorm and put them inside of the ground.
Yeah, they just suddenly appear in coffins. I was like, okay.
Oh, please. Big fucking boring
Sure.
whoop. I wasn't into it. I didn't like it. I liked it up to the point where it was actual ghost shit going on. If VHS had the balls to act, because they're obviously, just like in the first story, if they're not going to show fucking gore, straight up, make it a psychological horror thing. I tell you, that shit would have stood out.
Way more
Believe
effective.
me. It would have stood out compared to anything else, because you're so used to gore, and if you don't see it and they handle it correctly, then it could work.
It can be way more effective.
I give this fucker a 4 because it was good up until that point. 4 out of 10. Feeling bad about the shitty situation you are, so you confess onto a phone that's obviously going to go underwater and get ruined anyway. What rating would you give Suicide Bid, directed by Johannes Robert?
I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 10. Making a weird deal with a ghost who is apparently so magic they can teleport for people.
Listen, people, and we're not saying one is better than the other, but they're equally all kind of awful in these movies. But,
at least the first one had better special effects.
Yeah, that took it over the edge. The first one. This one, the makeup effects are like laughably bad. It's like just bad makeup shit. Like, we moving on to Ozzy's Dungeon, written by Zoe Cooper and Flying Lotus. Flying Lotus is somebody that is very important in the music scene. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck they were. Give me 1 second. Flying Lotus.
While you're figuring that out, Ozzy's Dungeon is about a children's game show where contestants participate in physical challenges for a chance to descend into the titular dungeon and meet Ozzy. And so we follow at first the enthusiastic Donna, who is very good at all the tasks that they put before her, and as she's about to sort of probably win the final task, which is to get through Ozzy's like body basically to the dungeon, she gets her leg gets broken in the process, and I guess she can never walk again. I was a little bit like, they broke her leg. In a pretty awful way, but probably she could get a prosthetic and still walk. I didn't see them break her spine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So there's a whole bunch of shit going on with this one. I didn't think it was the worst one, obviously. But,
no.
So
I liked the idea of it, like the premise of it, the first part at least, like the first section is fun. Yeah.
So with this, it's obviously if you're old enough, there was a show called Double Dare. Used to be on Nickelodeon, another channel that I think has changed completely from what it used to be. I'm not sure. It was sort of like the alternate to Disney Channel, But so Double Dare was like a sort of a gross out, not gross out where you're like disgusted completely by it, but it was like sort of a gross out game where you'd go through obstacle courses at the end. There'd be games like, oh, you have to pick this piece of paper out of this giant nose, and it's filled with like fake snot. So it's that kind of game show. I remember I went to it live as a kid, like when they opened up Nickelodeon Studios as a kid. That shows you how fucking old I am. That they actually closed that place down. And so it's that premise, and it's notable for the guy who's playing the host in this. Oh God, what is his fucking name? He was in GTA 5, so people know who that. Oh, Stephen Ogg. He was also in Better Call Saul, and I think he was also in The Walking Dead. I think he was like one of the main henchmen of the bad guy.
Yeah, he shows up all over the place because he's playing. He plays like a pretty generic douchebag, gross character. Yeah,
he's great in this too. He's like playing sort of slimy lead, but it's not much of a stretch from the other characters that he tends to play.
Yeah.
But he's good in it, so he's entertaining. So it's fun to see. It's nice to see Stephen Ogg. By the way, Flying Lotus makes sort of like I don't want to just say trip hop because I'm sure there's trip hop musicians. I'd be like, what the fuck? He's doing subculture dark, and I'm like, oh okay. He's a musician, and I think he just recently. I think this might have been his second directorial material that he's done. I think he just got into. He did some sort of weird other directorial film that I think people shitting green or something like that. But anyway, that's what he's known. He's a giant musician in his field, and I think I've heard his music before, and it's good. So that's Flying Lotus. But he's co-directing with this. This obviously I had some issues with the storyline in this movie. They had zero budget on some of this because that fucking obstacle course at the end, where you have to get through it through it in a minute. Yeah, they obviously got through it. There's nothing that they could have done where they couldn't have gotten through. Okay, the girl got her leg snapped, but the other guy still lost because there was no winner apparently in that story.
Yeah,
and I'm like, they literally just got out. That the part where they would win is when they got out when she broke her leg and he got through. But apparently that guy didn't win either.
Because it was like under a time limit, I think, right?
Yeah, and but it's still like it was just cheaply made. It was just very the whole
they should have spent more time on the initial, like the original obstacle course. It just didn't sell quite the actual like game show nature.
No,
it didn't feel like
and
that.
Who was the young lady in the? Who was her character's name?
That was Donna.
So Donna, and they couldn't have picked more a stereotypical way to write her mom in this. Not that I have a problem with it, because I know people that are like that. Like I've met people like that in real life.
Sure.
But
maybe still more complex.
Yeah, she literally is like a cartoon sort of character. Yeah. Her mom, and you hate her. I'm like, I hate that woman. Like I was like, this woman is driving me nuts. Like for some reason, like. The whole point is that, and I thought it was cute that, Donna's leg I don't think it's cute that her leg got broken, and it's cute the idea that family got so pissed off that they wanted revenge on this guy. It's not like Stephen Ogg's character was the showrunner. You know what I mean? It's not like
or
like
the
they take revenge on
the network
him
or whatever.
They take revenge on that guy. You know what I mean? It's just like he's just the show host. He has nothing like.
He has nothing to do with the show.
I wouldn't if I lost on The Price is Right, I wouldn't run for Drew Carey and commit revenge on him. So you have Donna's mother, who's like now set up a torture room where they decide to torture Stephen Ogg's character into for whatever reason, just out of vengeance, because she was supposed to be, I think Donna was supposed to be a dancer or something like that, a performance artist. So she is like I guess what do they call it, what do they call those mothers? The show mothers, I guess, a pageant mom or something like that.
Yeah, like a stage mom.
And it just like I just wasn't into. I was just like if they want me to hate Stephen Ogg's character, I really don't, because he was like slimy, but I didn't think he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I was sort of.
I feel like they could have made him more hateable.
Yeah, like if there was behind the scenes shit or something that showed him being a real piece of shit, like, oh, we can't have this girl win,
horrible.
Let's have this guy win, stuff like that. But it doesn't happen. He's just like a slimy guy who obviously doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's sort of a very threadbare entry. Yeah. Where then they go through this fucking tunnel at the end, which is supposed to be Ozzy's dungeon, which is like a body. Like I guess it's supposed to be some sort of H.P. Lovecraftian sort of labyrinth that you go through. And there's
it's a bit like Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, because this is a show that's been canceled, but the set is still available at.
I was like, they
tear shit down like you wouldn't believe on film sets. They throw that shit out. They'll do it out of spite. They'll break something. They'll sell it. And if they can't sell it, they'll feed it to fucking dogs because they don't care. Right. They need to move new shit in.
Except for in this case, it's like a real temple because this being, I guess, can actually grant wishes. So maybe they would leave it up.
So wouldn't the being like have enough like power to make the show running on for indefinitely? Like
maybe it didn't want the show. Maybe they just built the show around the being, and the being was like, "I'm just chilling, man."
And Donna and her family took 3 days to drive. Originally, remember when they were interviewing her how to get over? They said, "Oh, it took about 3 days to drive." Then it took an hour to get over there.
Yeah.
Unless the whole family moved. Maybe that's the whole thing where the family moved. They didn't explain it to us. The woman who was the TV show host's like sidekick, who I think she was a wrestler. I'm pretty sure she was in WWE. She's still there. She's hiding in the dungeon. I was like, what's going on with this? I understand.
She's like the Guardian.
I know you're supposed to not give a fuck. This is a stupid short film. But I was
Look,
just like,
I felt that based on the game show premise of like the wish being granted on all these things, like I did feel that that's the ending or some version of that ending we were heading to. Like there was a real mystical being in the dungeon and it can actually grant wishes. but I didn't need the middle torture section.
No, it
I
didn't.
feel like they could have just kidnapped him and been like, you're gonna get us our fucking wish.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like the Saw fill-in. You know, oh, we're
Yeah.
torturing. This is the horror aspect of it. Like, who gives a fuck? Like,
Yeah.
and I was grateful that all of them died at the end. I thought it was pretty funny that Donna became like a goth. Like, it was just so stupid. But like,
Yeah.
and then at the end when they all get mutated by whatever that creature is, and I was like, okay, thankfully it's over. But at least all of them
Yeah.
got killed, including Donna's mom, because I found her so fucking annoying.
I know.
It was just a waste of it had promise with the beginning,
Yeah.
because I thought maybe it would do some Running Man sort of thing with it, like where it's like, oh, these kids are all gonna die, they're gonna get fucked up, but then it just became stupid, and then it felt like they threw in some sort of Lovecraft bullshit out of nowhere. And I like Lovecraft stuff, not the actual
Yeah.
writer himself. He's sort of a dickhead. He is a dickhead, but like it just didn't work for me. It was dumb, and it's probably equal. It's just a little bit better than the Suicide Bid.
Yeah.
But it's I would give this and you know what's funny is like I felt like I should bring down a 4 for the first story also, because it's not very better than any of these other ones. So I retroactively.
But at least it's like clear.
Yeah,
it's
true,
like,
true.
Yeah.
So I would give this about a 4.5.
Okay.
Out of 10. Man, these movies. 4.5 out of 10. Getting kidnapped in the future and not having your wig taken with you. What rating would you give Ozzy's Dungeon?
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because I liked the promise of the premise at least, and that they did get there in the end. 5 out of 10. Being forced to crawl through shit.
I forgot about that. Oh, it was their shit, right? They produced it
Yeah.
themselves. That part was pretty good. Yikes! Here's this one coming up. The Gawkers. Which story is this? Written by Chris Lee Hill and Tyler McIntyre. Directed by Tyler McIntyre.
This is about Brady. So we finally see the kid who has been making the little toy soldier things, who is Brady. He's a young teenager. And his older brother, Dylan, and Dylan's friends. So they basically, while Brady is recording his latest video, Dylan bursts into his room and takes the camera, which he starts to film himself. It says they're practicing pickup lines. I don't remember that part.
They try to do an upskirt video.
Right. And so Dylan and his friends start to, like, they're excluding, obviously, his little brother from their activities. And they start to pull pranks around the neighborhood. And then they discover, while they're sort of out and about, they discover a patch of snake skin, foreshadowing. And they start to... They're doing gross shit. But they basically become fixated on a woman who has just moved in across the street, Sandra.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you can do the whole thing because this, yuck, yikes.
I can do more if you want.
No, the less said, the better. Okay, so here's the thing. The opening stuff with them skateboarding makes more sense than the beginning of the rack or whatever that band. This was more believable than the rack stuff in the first story of this one. Because that's what CKY was. You would think the producer who, like, okay, give me all your movies, guys, watched the first story, and then he saw this one. It's the same fucking intro. He would be like, hey, listen, can you guys, like,
even before they shot it. Yeah.
And this is a remake of the fucking, in the first movie, of the stripper that, like, turns into a creature and attacks everybody. It's the same fucking story. So it's just like, that's what all these movies are going to be. Because I could understand, like, short horror movies all have a template. It's either a creature chasing you, a creature in the darkness chasing you, bullying that get killed, shit like that. And this is literally the same story that whatever was made into that I forget what the name of that movie was, the one about the siren movie. The first one, I think it was called Amateur Night or something like that, which was fun. I liked that one. But this is the same shit. And they make it and it's just like badly done in this one because they're trying to put cameras into this woman or fix her camera on her computer so they can watch her get naked. Right. And it's just a boring, and she's fucking Medusa. Oh wow. Oh nice. I
will say that I liked that was the take on it, but it was like way too obvious that was where we were going.
What'd you like? Why'd you like that?
I just liked that we were doing sort of a contemporary Medusa thing.
I haven't seen Medusa
I haven't seen that
time,
a million times, right? Like, at least that was a different take.
I think they could have handled it a lot
too,
better, though. Honestly, it was
a little
just
too obvious. Yeah.
I just was like, oh boy, like, because I like the idea of Medusa, because I think originally the whole storyline of Medusa was that she was like assaulted, right, and then she like that was like out of vengeance she would freeze motherfuckers. The first time I ever saw like any Medusa anything, I think it was Clash of the Titans, which is like an old movie from, I think it was the 80s or the 70s, and it was cool, but she was frightening as shit. So the idea about Medusa, you don't really see Medusa films unless it's like the bottom of the fucking basement, bottom of the barrel, excuse me, cheap productions. And I think this is about as cheap as you can get with this type of creature in this movie, because she shows up with horrible CGI snakes on her head. The guys turn into statues. The camera's freezing their hand. And I was just like, that's it? I was like, this is what we're dealing with? Like, a Medusa moves into a fucking cul-de-sac? Is that what this story is? That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is it? This is stupid. I was like, this is just dumb.
But even though that line you just pitched as a premise, like, they could have had more fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, she could have been like, it could have even been her story, or she could have been like, what's her day job that she tells people? Is she a sculptor? Like,
right. Yeah,
that was just cheekier.
Because maybe there is some sort of social element that we're missing, or that I just didn't pull on it, because it's all, Medusa is like known at least biblically as not biblically, but just in story wise, that she's this woman that would freeze men. For looking at her, because they wanted to see something beautiful. They were so horrified they turned into stone. And then when you find the real story where she's assaulted, and then she just, becomes this like really pissed off woman about vengeance, and it's almost like a female, anti-hero. And you think maybe that's what the element is. Like, now that I'm talking about it, maybe that's it. But it's just so stupid that I just didn't give a fuck. Like, these kids are getting punished for a Me Too element in this or something like that. Because obviously they do the upskirt shit. And listen, I'm not trying to give this credit that it is, but maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think like that probably is part of why they told the story that they did. It just wasn't that effective, because we've seen the boys doing like gross shit with a camera thing 100 times. So what's the difference this time?
Yeah, because your money shot is obviously something they couldn't fucking afford. You just freeze somebody, and then you put bad special effects of stone over them, and it's just like,
or you freeze the camera.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just like, I didn't care. This is dumb. It's stupid. You could have done that a lot better and have a more interesting way that they could use a Medusa in the storyline. There's plenty of ways that you can fucking punish like male creeps. But anyway, fuck it. Who cares? I don't care. What did we ever give the rating for that? Yeah, we did, right?
We have. We haven't rated this one yet.
Are you serious? Okay, so this is my rating for it. A fucking 3 out of 10.
Worse than all of the other ones?
They're all bad. So when I say 3 and 4, they're really all basically the same. Everything has been knocked down to a 4, by the way. Even the first one. When I said it was a 5.
You're retroactively.
Yeah, because the more I think about stuff, the more I decide to hate it. So I'm gonna give this. I'll give it a 4 as well. They're all bad. Well, no, wait a minute. I don't want to go ahead in time, because there's one that's actually good in this bunch.
Yeah. I
gotta say what it is.
Oh, are you done?
A 4 out of 10. Putting. I really don't know. Put a camera on a woman that thinks she's naked. Go ahead, Thea. What rating would you give the Gawkers?
I'm actually gonna give it a 5.5. I liked this one better than the last 3. Out of 10. Finding an enormous snakeskin and daring your friends to eat it.
Oof. Oh, yeah, that's right. I did forget about that. Scene. That's disgusting. Okay, finally, To Hell and Back. Written and directed by Vanessa and Joseph Winter. This is like the part where, that show Hell's Kitchen? Who's that guy? Mm-hmm. What was his name?
Gordon Ramsay?
Gordon Ramsay. There's a famous clip that a lot of people use when something finally good comes up. Because there's like an episode. I never watched that show. But there was a thing where he was at a shitty restaurant with shitty food, and it was like a soul food restaurant. And then the grandmother, who's like 90s, comes out, and it's a very sweet scene. She makes him, I think, some sort of pie, and he goes, "Finally, some good fucking food." And then she gives him a kiss, and it's a very sweet moment.
It is very that,
and very much in this movie, it's finally some good fucking food. So give us some information on To Hell and Back.
To Hell and Back is written by the writer-director couple that did Deadstream, which came out on Shudder this year, which we also reviewed.
Go see that movie.
Go see that movie. On New Year's Eve 1999, best friends and videographers Nate and Troy, have been hired by what is revealed to be a coven of witches, and their task is to film the witches performing a ritual where a woman named Kirsten volunteers to be offered as a vessel to a powerful demon known as Ukaban.
So,
and during the ritual, they get pulled in to another dimension.
So watching this, as soon as I saw who the guy was behind the camera, I was like, this is a familiar guy. I like this guy because I like Deadstream so much. I didn't give a fuck about anything that else happened in it, even if it had a low budget to it and it didn't look good, or like the whole witch shit didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand what's happening.
I liked it though. I like when there's an element like that where it's like it still felt connected to the. It felt like they thought it through. Like it was connected to the demon.
No, it didn't feel like anything was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I was just grateful. And it's not to take anything away from this that somebody actually put something good in this pile of shit of a movie. Because like Vanessa and Joseph Winter are clearly very talented filmmakers and writers because Deadstream was fun. I think calling it Evil Dead 2 POV is a little bit of a stretch. But it's still fun. There is definitely Evil Dead 2 elements in that. But something that I didn't know that I felt bad that I didn't bring up from when we did the Deadstream was when they make him drink his own piss in that movie. That was fucking good. But in this, I was happy because not only did they do the whole thing with them interrupting the witch ceremony or whatever, but did they go to hell? I liked that.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
I always say, I think on any episode that we bring up, you never see hell in movies because there's no real sort of concrete way to make hell, a concept in a film because people either believe in hell
and to make it look good.
Yeah, like
it's hard.
The only film where I saw I couldn't believe it was fucking the movie that Thea really hated was The House That Jack Built. Beautiful fucking views of hell in that movie. I love that.
I mean, I liked that part of it.
Right. And in this one, hell is like some, I guess, the back roads of some sort of desert in California. But you know what? It looked I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that we were in hell with these wacky characters. You know what I mean? These guys know how to do, these guys and ladies, they know how to do POV. They know how to do found footage because the character, his character's not really, Joseph Winter's character's not really much of a stretch than his character from Deadstream. He's sort of playing that. No. He's not as much of an asshole, I guess, in this.
He's just a bit of a dick.
He's just a bit of a dick, and his best friend's kind of fun too. And I enjoyed every aspect of this short. Like, and it's weird to say that because would I enjoy this outside of? And I think I would. Like, it's not because everything else was so awful in this. It's just that I think I was before the line I was thinking of is like wading through a sea of shit to find a pearl. You know what I mean? It's like that in this.
Yeah. Which is honestly the reason that it's the reason that I like to watch these movies fair enough. Is because there usually is at least one or two that are like authentically really good and usually like head and shoulders above the rest in a way that I'm like, oh, cool. Like this person got to make this, and that is cool.
Like one of the best ones in one of the VHS movies was when they dealt with like the cult. Remember, like it was like an Asian school with the cult and the guy and his girlfriend, and then the fucking goat monster comes because that was directed by like a guy who does a lot of fucking action films, and it was insane. Yeah. And even the last one, I'm thinking maybe I think there was a POV one where they put this woman's brain inside of like this killer machine, and it was all fucked up and weird. And then this one is this piece, because it almost feels like, why didn't you just give the budget of this fucking guy, this movie, just give it to the guy instead of making those 3 other shitty horror shorts? Give it to this guy. He could have made a full fucking You know how cool it would be to see a guy in hell for like 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm grateful for what we got because the main characters are fine. They're funny. The premise of them in hell getting scared, and the CGI wasn't awful. Like the part when you see that creature, like the giant man demon or whatever, like that looked cool. It was very not Lovecraftian. It was very Bosch. Hieronymus Bosch. All these creatures in hell and like old school art. Like I liked it a lot. Like
and they did do a bunch of practical too, like the little prosthetic like baby breathing and stuff.
Right.
And
When literally the first 3 stories here deal with bullying and a supernatural monster coming to punish you, and then you get this one, which felt at least original, in the sense that I've never seen a found. Well, I did see one found footage movie, a great movie called A Cult, a Japanese movie. But the hell in that was the worst special effects I've seen in my life. Great movie though. Go watch the movie anyway. But this one, it was fun. It's fun. That's all I can say. I don't even want to spoil it because that's how fun it is. You can't even really spoil it because it's just literally guys that get sucked into hell and they're trying to get back out, and that's all it is.
And they're trying to get home.
And it's very clean, very out there premise, very, you can understand it without having to fucking worry about anything other than having a good time. So like this is obviously like for this is like a 9 out of 10 for me. 9 out of 10 getting sucked back into Earth, but changing genders at the last moment. What rating would you give to Hell and Back, written and directed by Vanessa and Joseph Wooder?
I'm going to give it 9 out of 10, writing the best character's name in the book.
Nice. So with that, the movie goes back into, I guess, the whole fucking toy soldier crap from the beginning of the movie, and it ends very unceremoniously. Yeah. So I don't give a rat's ass. VHS, another sort of pile of shit that has a really good storyline in it, which saves it from being. And I'm glad it was the last one, because
you can skip ahead and just watch that one.
Just watch Silent Mag. You don't gotta watch the rest of that shit. So overall, what is your rating for VHS 99?
I guess it would average out to about 6 or 6.5 or something, right?
Yep.
Let's say 6.5. Toy soldiers with no real story, but they are there. Out of 10.
I would give this 6.5. I was gonna give it a 7, but I just keep thinking about the other ones. 6.5 out of 10. I didn't realize that they repeated some material from the previous movie, right? With like Ratma crap. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm thinking about something else. But I'm thinking about. No, they did. They did repeat some, but you know what? That's my thing. Repeating shit. This is just repeating shit over and over. Besides, they're gonna make another VHS because apparently this was very popular, so they're making another VHS one. And with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Favorite.